Time for Mr. Truck, reviewing the latest innovations for your truck and trailer.
Mr. Truck here, trying to do an accessory review in the wind. I hope you can hear this because the wind now, I was born in Colorado and we didn't have wind like this, maybe a couple months in the spring, but now we're like our neighbors in Nebraska, Kansas, mostly Kansas, Wyoming, Idaho, all have wind all the time. So here we are. If it ain't the wind, it's the airplane or the locusts or who knows what. Hopefully anyway you can hear me. But today's review is about tailgates. Now we all know these fancy tailgates are out there and Ford had the first one with a step in it. Yes indeed, this puppy right here, and it comes with most like the XLTs and most packages you get, they don't really give you a choice whether you want it or not. It's always included in the package. But it's a heavy tailgate. What jeepers. Boy, and it's loud and it's heavy and it hits hard. And there's got to be a solution for this. Well, one solution is Ford does have a little strut built into the tail light. And I think, and Ford, I hope you're listening, that every vehicle with this step, and it's heavy, every vehicle that has the built-in tailgate step needs to come with that tailgate strut. Because it's a beast. It's a heavy beast. And makes a lot of noise. Eventually it's going to hurt something or break something or wear something out. So that's my opinion about that. Now our good friend Dan Atkinson, Mr. Big Truck, he did this to his Ranger. He put an outside strut that went on this side. It was on the outside of the blinker. And I was going to do the same thing because it was cheap, but he told me not to do it because his Ranger that wore this cable out that holds your support for your tailgate wore out. So I didn't like that. So he told me to get the one that's like the factory one that goes in your tailgate. Not your tailgate, I'm sorry. Get the factory one that goes in your right rear blinker area of the frame of the rear of the truck, the post. So I did. I followed Dan's advice and I got this. This is a strut. I'll show you pictures of that. And this is the doohickey that replaces your hinge on that side. It has the little slot so you can take the tailgate out. And we're going to install this puppy. Now, that looks like a good idea. I want to try that, but I got to take things apart. Of course, the instructions is from China, and you can look up on the web. That's what I did. I looked up and tried to find the one with the best reviews. And of course, I could have spent twice as much money and bought a Ford one, which I would probably recommend that because that's the best way to go, is to just buy the Ford one, like 60 bucks. These other ones are 20 to 30. But do what you want. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do now. And of course, the instructions are not in Chinese, but all it is pictures. Well, that doesn't tell you much. So if you're looking for instructions other than watching my video, there's a lot of them on the internet. You can see all kinds of videos on how to install it, what it looks like, and that's what I did. But we're going to try to show you a lot of the play-by-play on how this works. So we're going to take it apart, but I'm not going to do what they tell you to do in the videos even, and that's unplug the big cord that goes up in your tailgate. It runs your lights, that light for the camera, and it's the camera, and there's a big harness, and you got to reach up by the spare and unplug it. No, I'm not going to do all that. I'm just going to take off the one clip and pull it out, set it on the tailgate, and try to work around without unplugging it. We'll see if that works. So I undid the cable. It's just a simple plug. And now, get this up on this heavy beast. Let's see if that one cable will support it. Oh, look at that. Tailgate is just setting on the bumper. I've got a hitch on here. I hope I didn't hit the hitch. No, I still got a few inches. So now I can reach down in there without unplugging it. So that's the way I'm going to do it. So I got to take the tail light cover off. But these tailgates are just like the old days. They're made with a little clip on there. Real simple to do. So now I'm gonna get down to the, so now we're gonna get down to the nitty gritty of actually getting this accomplished. And another thing I want to try to accomplish, we'll find out, which I don't know if it'll help or not, if that strut helps going back up. It probably doesn't because it's just kind of a spring-loaded strut. But, yeah, that's a pain. Remember that Ford? People buying these trucks are getting tired of that banging that tailgate. And it's loud. So yep, you got to take this clip off. All you do is lift up on this and slide it over. Slide it off there. And now you got to line this up. You can still see it in there. It gets into a little wedge and then it comes right out. You see that? Yeah. That's what the old hinge looks like. All greasy and everything. So yeah, take that piece out and replace it with this piece. The old one's plastic inside there. I guess we'll see how noisy this is or how often I have to grease this. But yeah, that's what's going to be replacing that piece there. Then you got to take the tail light covers off. 2 bolts to get that tailgate. Tail light out of there. Get tail light out of there. 2 bolts. We're working on that. Got them out. See down in there where the other part of the hinge is, and I got it all unscrewed from the outside, but I replaced that. And then you can see there's the wiring harness. There's the tail light. I'm just letting it hang because it's really not in the way. And it just popped out after I took the 2 bolts out. A couple places where you've got to pop it out. There's retainers. But looky in here. You can see that there ball. You got to get yourself a torque socket to take those hinge bolts out. I think it's a 50. But yeah, get one of them big heavy duty torque wrenches. Well, here's another thing I didn't think about, and probably why I should have spent the extra money and bought the Ford one, is I'm sure all these pieces here that came from the factory are aluminum, because they just bolts right on to the aluminum bed. You can see right there where it goes. Then they do have the hole punched for the hinge that I'm going to put on it, which is good. But the difference of all this is aluminum versus steel. And I'm going to bet you dollars to a donut. I didn't know this before I took it apart, but I bet you that if the Ford puts a steel one in, they'll use like a Maillard washer to isolate the steel from the aluminum so you don't get electrolysis. The 2 thick metals against each other don't like each other. So maybe the hinge from Ford is aluminum. I don't know. But I'm going to suggest you, if you get a cheap one, get the Maillard washers to isolate some of the hinge away from the aluminum sheet metal in the post there. So yeah, something to think about. Might have been worth the money to get the Ford. This thing's all ready for a strut. I guess the factory guys, they stamp it in there and rivet it in there, so they want it in there already. So what would it take, Ford? Put the stupid thing in there standard. Come on. Give us a standard strut on these heavy tailgates. The other tailgates are fine. I used to use rods in these things for the ability to slow the tailgate down. Now they use struts. So now you got to know how to do that in case you got to replace the strut, which will happen someday. Struts don't last forever. Just look at your lift gate on your SUV. Then you got to feed it through the hole. Make sure you get where the hinge bolts on forward. You slide through, otherwise you got to squeeze the plastic, some kind of plastic holder on the back to get it back out. Easy peasy going back in, just takes a while to screw these long bolts in. So there's the hinge, got it all installed. Didn't take that long, just takes a while to screw those long bolts out. Now I'm going to use my noggin now, instead of hooking up the strut next, which is kind of what they tell you to do. I'm going to hook up the tailgate next. So that way I know that that slot is where it's supposed to be, and the tailgate will just drop in there. And then I can close the tailgate, hook up the strut, and it'll be at the shortest distance, or I can even hook it up all the way down. But I think if I try to hook up the strut first, it's only putting pressure on that sleeve, wanting to turn it one way or the other, and it will not align with the tailgate like I want. So I'm going to do the easy thing, finally.
If you have a short bed truck, you know it's not easy to hook up to a gooseneck. Pop-Up came out with these extensions from 9 inches to 16 inches to keep you from breaking out your back window when you're pulling a gooseneck trailer. And everybody uses a short bed. That's the most proper truck there is a crew cab short bed. So protect that window.
So there it is. The hinge is hooked up. If I can see past all this junk in the way. You can see right where it's at that it's in the slot. The tailgate is in the slot. And you know, from here I can lift it in or out or whatever I want to do. So we're almost done. Now look, you can see the strut arm down there. As I close the tailgate, it goes down. So I see, yeah, lift the tailgate up, it goes up. So that's cool. So I'm going to let it down, see if I can easily hook up that strut. So they'll tell you which end's up or down the strut. So I'm going to guess that's down, and the other end's kind of angled, so we'll see how that works out. Just pushed it on the little ball. So there we go. The angled part of the strut, which is I think the top, fits in there in the ball at an angle, so that must be the one that goes on top. And the tailgate down, a little rubber seals all crunched together. And when I have it up, you can see it, the arm goes down, the strut pulls out. So that's how it works. Now let's see really how it works. Are you ready, Freddy? Dropping the tailgate. Oh! Well, it's a little better. I wouldn't get too excited about it. Better, not perfect. I may have to get a strut from Ford because I don't like how fast that drops now. It doesn't boom as bad, but it's still not perfect. So I guess that's my recommendation. Is that you buy the Ford one and spend the money, because this one, it does dampen it, but it's not dampened as slow as I wanted it to be. So we're not 100% done here. I may have to go buy that strut. One more time. Lift it up and pull the magic handle. Better. We're going to work on this some more. You don't know. Yes, I'm going to put the tail light back on, of course. Yes, see, I put the tailgate back on there. I put the tail light back on. In case you guys wonder if I was going to leave it that way. No, I'm just going to put those screws in and I'm done. Time to go get the mail.